Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we have a bonus video. I don't usually post this day of the week, but today we're not going to talk about orchids. I'm just going to show you my African violet collection. So I think it's fitting that we make this a bonus video, at least for now, not interrupt the normal schedule, because I know not everybody's necessarily interested in African violets. So I'm going to show you all of them, take them one by one. They're not in bloom, but I will show you a picture of how they will look like when they're going to be all grown up and in bloom. All of these pictures are coming from the seller's page. It's an eBay seller. I don't believe he owns all of the pictures, but yeah, it's the pictures that I have. And with that said, let's just start, because I think it's gonna take an eternity to go through all of these beauties. Alrighty, one more thing you need to know is that many of these hybrids, if not most of them, are Russian or Ukrainian. I will give you the English translation or equivalent where the case is, and yeah, you can expect some mispronounced words, I'm pretty sure, because some names appear to be actual names, human names. So, sorry in advance. If I mispronounce something and you know how to pronounce it, just let me know in a comment down below. Let's start with this one. Oh, another thing. Sorry. You will see that many of them are potted in lechuza. I love lechuza pots. I had a few already in use with some orchids, and yeah, those orchids decided not to stick around, the Mastovalias. I also ordered a few not long ago, and recently I ordered a few more, and I thought I calculated everything properly, but no. I have one of them which is not potted in a self-watering pot, which helps me a lot in my climate. So yeah, all the violets which are bigger in size are in self-watering mini Deltini lechuza pots. You might already know them. If not, I'll link you to a video down below. And the tiny miniature African violets are in a DIY system. You'll see what I mean. Alrighty, let's just start. So here we go. This is the RS gerbera. Not sure how you would say that in English. In my language, it's actually gerbera. And it is the name of a flower. The flowers of this violet are very similar to gerbera flowers. They're this really sweet light pink, but what attracted me most to them is the shape of the flower. The petals just seem to overlap a little bit, if you notice there. And I really do like the color as well, even if it's pale. I'm not against pale colors really. With orchids, sometimes I had enough of pale pink, but with these guys, not so much. So this is the plant that I got. It is a young plant. Here's the thing, African violets can be of multiple sizes. I'm not entirely sure what all of these are because the description didn't say it. I know there are descriptions on the internet, but I cannot find them for all of these violets. If any of you are gurus in African violets and you know of a sort of registrar or something on the internet for the African violet hybrids, do let me know down below. I know about the African Violet Association. They list the sports, but not the hybrids. I'm not sure how big these violets will get. They might get massive, they might stay kind of compact and like medium-sized. I'm not sure at this point because these are very young. But as you can see, I believe this is one of the few which is not variegated. The color of the foliage is a sort of medium to dark green, and the main reason I purchased it is for the flowers. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. Another thing, the way they look now might not be the way they will look when they're mature and they have a good root system. Some of these did not have any roots. I think they were just separated from the mother plant. Some of them do have some roots, but not a whole lot of roots. They will typically look better when they're mature. So how they look now, it's not necessarily how they will end up looking. And provided that I will take care of them properly, they should look a lot better. Anyway, returning to the collection, oh boy, this is Leticia Rosa, or I think a translation for it is Rambling Rose. This one has, again, a beautiful flower. It is a bicolor one as far as I can see. It has white and pink flowers. They can vary from individual to individual, but they have this really rambly, curly shape to them, which is why I purchased this one as well, not for the foliage. You can see the foliage is a lighter green, even in the pictures as well. It's not a very dark green. But the foliage will look a little bit different. Maybe these look a little bit more like how they will look like when this violet matures. But yeah, I just fell in love with the flowers with this one. Next one, again one that I purchased for the flowers. This is Princesa Turandot. Hopefully this is the correct name. The flowers are a beautiful pink, but look at those edges. The edges are darker colored. They're very curly, very lacy, very elegant African violet. I want to call it an orchid. I might call them orchids at some point, excuse that. So you can see this one has quite big foliage, and the foliage is slightly curly as well. In some pictures, some individuals do have these curly leaves, some individuals don't. I'm guessing there is a degree of variety here as well. I'm hoping that these violets are not mislabeled since I don't have flowers, but they look good, so fingers crossed. We'll see what turns out. Alrighty, next up, one that can actually create variegated leaves. Again, with this variegation, it can depend on temperature, age of the violet. There are some things apparently. So this is Opus 1, and you'll see in the picture that the foliage can be really spectacular, but it can also have perfectly green foliage. It can alternate. The flowers are spectacular as well. They're a really nice blue color and they have white striations kinda. If you're coming from orchids and you see striations on the flowers, it's not a good sign, but with African violets, it's okay. And you can already see with this one that the foliage right here in the middle, this is a new leaf which is growing. It has signs of variegation. This one has some signs as well. I'm thinking that with autumn and winter coming, I might start to see some variegation. Sometimes it's more pronounced in lower temperatures. We'll see though. But yeah, this is one that I'm really looking forward to. We'll see how it transforms. Next up, another one with variegated leaves. Most of them actually have variegated leaves. It's Tristan. One thing you can notice is that the outer edge, the outer leaves are a little discolored. I am not entirely sure why, maybe because they're babies, maybe because of the transport, I don't know. But the middle on most of these appears to darken up in color, appears to be more vivid. I am feeding them, I am watering them. Many of them are just repotted and self-watering. I did have some issues maintaining them hydrated in those little tiny pots they came in. So yeah, I am actually noticing that many of them do have, especially this outer edge, the outer row, a little discolored. I'm guessing it's a little deficiency, but it's getting corrected. So, Tristan, oh boy. It has beautiful foliage, yes, but look at those flowers. Oh my goodness, such ruffled petals, but not only, look at the colors, pink, blue, white, absolutely fantastic. I really hope this one is what it's supposed to be. Foliage-wise, you can see it's a lot darker than what I have here, but you can see mine already has variegation signs. I really hope this is what it's supposed to be. You have to take into account the camera settings as well. So I really do hope that the leaves will be as variegated and as dark as you see them in pictures on Google, but you don't know. You don't know how those pictures are filtered or how they're taken. Next up, a really cute one. This is Rob's Pewter's Bells, and it's one of the most advanced babies that I have. It's a semi-mini. Actually, this one has a description. So this one is quite far along. And yes, it does have variegated leaves, at least some of them. And take a look at those flowers. You can understand why I wanted to purchase this one. Mainly for the flowers. They look like bells. They don't have the typical African violet shape that I know. Color is a nice pale lavender, pale blue. From the pictures it appears to be a heavy bloomer, but I guess it depends on care. You can see the foliage is kind of dark on mine as well. This one did have a pretty good root system, but others really didn't have much roots, so I can understand. But already this one looks so incredibly pretty. It drank all of the water, oh my goodness. Things dry out so fast in my grow space. Next up, this is a good one. This is Polina Viardo. Do we see here we have a rogue? It's not called like that, that's how I call it. I think it's a sucker leaf actually. I think I should remove this because it's a tiny leaf under a big row. And typically that's what you do, you remove them. The only reason why I didn't remove it yet is because it's so nicely variegated. This is a variegated plant as well. It should be, or it could be. And I'm at the beginning. I like every little leaf, you know how it is. I will remove it at some point, don't worry. But yeah, I'm just at the beginning where I'm a little wary of just removing leaves from these violets. But this one should be removed. It's just a pretty leaf. So take a look at the flowers on this one. They're supposed to be a really dark purple with a beautiful, very thin white edge. Again, ruffly flowers, beautiful variegation, but even in the pictures I can see that some leaves are more variegated than others. You can see mine doesn't have much variegation, but it does have this more oval shape to the foliage. So we'll see how it develops. A thing that I think happens with African violets is that they change kind of from the moment that they're very, very tiny to maturity. And they can actually change throughout the year as well, depending on temperature, light conditions, and so on and so forth, if you repotted them and things of the sorts. That's what I read, but we'll see. Mine are very, very young at the moment, and they're looking good still, so that's good. This is DS Shining Bell. There we go. I need to make a new tag for this one. I tried to stick the tags that were on the pots to actual plastic tags, but it's not working out so well with this one. This is not a variegated one, but let me show you the flowers. Look at that. Look at the beautiful shape of the flowers. I really wasn't aware that there are so many shapes of African violets. This one is a sort of bell shape with ruffled edges, and I'm sure that at this point my descriptions are all over the place. But anyway, the main reason for purchasing this one is, of course, the flowers. Foliage-wise, it's beautiful, it's very, very attractive. But yeah, it's not variegated or anything, it's just really pretty. And this one is growing. It has grown quite a lot since I purchased it. I visually can see this one growing. Others, not so much. Usually when they don't have a lot of roots, they just take their time to produce some roots and then they start growing more rapid. This one I think was one with good roots because it is actually growing pretty well. Alrighty, this one, beautiful, beautiful foliage. BR Provans. You can see this one is not variegated. It's not supposed to be variegated, but the color is very, very dark. And you can see the leaves are not as fluffy. You know, African violets have a little fuzz on their leaves. This one doesn't have as much, and it appears to have very, very glossy leaves. Again, I have a leaf that I need to remove here. I will remove it one day, I promise. So not only the foliage is really amazing on this one, but look at the flowers. They're so elegant. There's something very angelic about them, very pale pink, ruffly, innocent. I don't know, maybe it's not a good description, but I just fell in love with this contrast between the dark foliage and the beautiful, elegant flowers. And again, this is one that I've noticed growing, so I do believe it has a pretty nice root system. I'm happy it's growing. I don't think I see any buds. No, it is way too early to think about flowers. I just kind of got these violets, but it's okay. Beautiful violet, isn't it? Oh, the underside of the leaves is red. Very, very beautiful. Next up, another one that I see is actually growing pretty fast. This is Aramis. Purchased this one for the flowers, not foliage. It's not supposed to be variegated or anything, but I really do like the foliage on this one, on all of them actually. But look at the flowers. I think you can see now why I purchased this one. Again, that shape is absolutely incredible. The colors are really beautiful as well. I believe it's a dark purple rather than blue, but it has some white as well. And the shape is just gorgeous. From the pictures, I do believe this one will be pretty large. But let me just show you how it looked like when I purchased it. This is the actual plant I purchased. This is it now. Yep, there is a difference in size. It grows very fast. It's been a month or so since I purchased it. Next up, this one I didn't purchase. This one was a gift. Yes, some sellers do actually include one bonus plant, one bonus leaf if you buy a lot from them, unlike orchid sellers. You know me, I have a thing with the bonus orchid. I never got a bonus orchid. So this is okay, here we go. Ledyanoi Dozhd. I really don't know how to pronounce this one. So I googled some pictures and I did actually find it again on eBay for sale, even though I didn't purchase it. It appears to have a beautiful dark purple flower with some light pink accents on it and a white rim. I'm not entirely sure about the foliage. Doesn't look to be variegated, but the African violet itself is again one of those that wants to grow. I had some leaves here that didn't make transport, so that's why it's really very not symmetrical, but I think it is starting to grow very well. I don't know, we'll see. When they get proper roots and proper feeding, they should look how they're supposed to look like. Next one, another one that I didn't purchase, another gift actually that grew a lot ever since I received it. This is EK Zolotaya Raduga. I just feel so bad because I know I'm mispronouncing things. This one is supposed to have beautiful pink flowers in comparison to other flowers, you know, maybe not the showiest, but it's variegated and the variegation is a little pink. I think you can see it. So I'm really happy to receive it. I could not believe my eyes when I opened the package and this was a gift, because I would have absolutely paid for it. I would have purchased it if it was available, I believe. So you have a picture of the flower. Again, it's a picture taken from eBay. There are so many hybrids really that finding picture is not as easy. You'd think it's like with orchids, but it's not. There are only 1 or 2 or 3 pictures out there with some of these hybrids. So anyway, lovely gift. I'm so happy to have this one and it grew a lot. This is from my first order. I think I did 2 or 3 orders. One was leaves, one was the first time that I got the babies, and a second order only with the babies once again. Next one, this is LE Nastya. This is a beauty. Again, one of those that just wants to grow. It grows super fast at the moment. So it is variegated, but I didn't purchase it for the variegated foliage. Look at those flowers. They're hard to describe. They're white, I believe, but they have specks of pink and blue. Some of them actually only have the frilly edge colorful like that. It's just out of this world. It's beautiful. But because there is such variety, you can see not all the flowers actually look the same. I don't know how this one will look like when it's gonna bloom. But, you know, fingers crossed, it's gonna look great. I think I'm gonna love it anyway. So, yeah, variegated foliage and wonderful flowers. I love it. I'm really into African violets. Next one is EK, the God's Envy, or Envy of the Gods. That would be the translation for it. And this one doesn't really look like how it's supposed to look like. You can see the foliage is variegated. It's supposed to have variegation, but also has this vining. I'm starting to think that the vining is not actually normal. Maybe it's a sort of deficiency, which should start to be corrected because of the fertilizer in the soil. But again, it's about the root system, and many of these didn't really have the greatest of the root system. So I'm going to show you how beautiful the flowers are. Again, that beautiful pale pink with the ruffly flowers and beautiful variegation on the leaves. But again, you can see the leaves don't really look like what I have. So I don't think it's mislabeled or anything. It could be. I just think that some of these violets do need some time to regain their strength. Maybe they do have some deficiencies as well. And I did notice that ever since I repotted them in the lechuza pots, they are actually growing faster. It might just be coincidence because a certain amount of time passed, but it also might be the fact that they do have adequate watering. You might know my climate just tends to dry out really fast. But anyway, beautiful plant, this one as well. Hopefully it is what it's supposed to be. Next one is the one that doesn't have a self-watering pot yet. I think it's a little too big for the tiny DIY self-watering pots that I made, and I just didn't calculate how many lechuzas I have versus how many I need to buy. Anyway, this is the Fantasy Fiesta, and oh boy, isn't she pretty. Let me show you the picture. We have beautiful lavender flowers that have specks of dark blue or dark purple. They have a pink kind of center, some of them at least. Foliage-wise, they appear to be kind of standard. And by that, I just mean medium green, no variegation, not very big leaves. I don't think it's gonna be a very big orchid, but the flowers were just absolutely gorgeous. Again, this one has started to grow a little bit, but yeah, I do believe they need more roots to look better. But it's okay, I have time. And now it is time to look at the very tiny ones. So let me explain the setup. I just have here some coffee cups and a little wick and an IKEA spice jar that I had around the house and never used because guess what? I don't have space for spice jars. That was harder to pronounce than I thought. Anyway, but it does the trick. It maintains this pot wet for longer. So let's look at the orchids. This is nosegay pink. This one did not have any roots. I believe this was a baby that was separated from the mother plant. It had zero roots, nothing. So I don't want to move it too much, don't want to touch it too much because I don't want to disturb the roots that might start to form. So I'm just going to show you the picture. This one looks so incredibly pretty. It's again one of those with a shape that I've never seen before. Keep in mind, I'm new to the African violet scene. It looks like a snowbell, doesn't it? It has beautiful, bright pink flowers that seem to not open completely, but they have some ruffles. It's beautiful. I believe it's gonna be a miniature or semi-miniature. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And the reason why I put it in this tiny pot is because it's tiny and it has no roots. So a lechuza pot, even if tiny, I think would have been a little too big for this one. Next up, another tiny one. Most of these are actually tiny. They grew a little bit. This is EK, let me see the English translation, Bullfight. And what you see here, this is variegation. It's supposed to look like that actually. It's not deficiency or anything. If this plant is a little deficient, I don't know, it might be. But this yellowing that you see, it looks different. It's not on the edge, but it's supposed to be that way. So not only are the leaves incredibly gorgeous, and I'm seeing here a leaf which is almost completely white, which yeah, looks great, but I'm a little nervous because white leaves don't really photosynthesize. I'm not sure if at all or just a little. So the plant actually needs some green leaves as well. It's okay. But not only are the leaves super beautiful, but the flowers are beautiful as well. In pictures, they look kind of red or very dark burgundy. I don't know how they will be in reality. I'm hoping they're gonna be dark burgundy. Maybe that's why it's called Bullfight, because of the reds. But it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And again, I do believe I have some leaves which I should remove, but it's okay. I will remove them at some point. I do want to leave on this violet as many green containing leaves as possible because I don't have much experience, and whenever I have this very pronounced variegation, I'm always concerned, what if I will only have white leaves and the plant will die? Which can happen, rarely, but it can happen. Next up, another variegated one. This is Max Walkabout Uluru, and I purchased it for the leaves. They're beautiful. I do believe that mine has a better variegation than what I see on the internet. I like it better, at least. The flowers are really pretty as well. They're a vivid pink. They're not double or ruffly or anything of the sorts, but they're beautiful. I like them. It works so great with the leaves, but the reason why I purchased it was because of the leaves. I believe they are so beautiful, and you can see again that we don't have that typical edging variegation. Oh, this one grew. Now I see the picture. This one grew a lot ever since I purchased it, but it's supposed to be that way. The leaves are supposed to look whitish. That's how it's supposed to be. Very beautiful violet. Next one I didn't purchase. It was yet again a gift, and I could not believe my eyes when I saw it because it's wonderful. This is SK Satory. This again is a miniature, I do believe. It has variegated leaves, and the leaves have this beautiful heart shape. Do you see? Really beautiful. The flowers are white. They're tiny. I don't know if they open completely. They look like bells once again. You cannot see them. Here you go. So I do believe the flowers will be very tiny on this one as well. White flowers, which is great because I really don't have white African violets. I tried to purchase. It was an auction and I lost. Whatever. But I could not believe my eyes when I received this one as bonus or a gift. Beautiful. I'm so delighted with this one. It's tiny, white, variegated, just like a jewel. Alrighty, not many more to go, I promise. This is EK Marigold. This is the translation. And this one suffered a little bit on transport, lost quite a few leaves, didn't really have much roots, so that's why I decided to put it in this tiny cup. Even though this is supposed to be a bigger African violet, it just didn't have roots, so I don't believe it would have been a good idea to put it in a bigger pot. You can see that it looks recovering, right? Well, here is the picture. Look at that. Do you see why it's called Marigold? It's absolutely beautiful. It has a beautiful yellow center and the pink ruffled petals, just gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. Sadly, it didn't really like transport, and I thought I would lose it, but I don't think so. It looks okay, it just doesn't have roots, and I'm thinking that's why the leaves are a little curled, because it's a little dehydrated. It's not severe, and it looked a little bit worse, I think. These new leaves are promising. But yeah, this one just didn't fare well on transport, but I think she will be okay. Who is writing to me? Next one, kind of same story, didn't fare well on transport, lost quite a few leaves, but it's looking much better now. You can also see some sort of damage on the leaves. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it is actually pulling through. It's growing. This is L-E, ooh, what is the translation? Riddle. Okay, L-E, Riddle. This is what the translation says. And look how beautiful this one is. It has, again, that fantasy kind of ruffled flower with a pink background, blue specks, and a green edge. How about that? Beautiful. Too bad it did such poorly on transport, but it is to be expected. I mean, even with orchids, some of them just don't do so great. But the good thing is you can always try to save leaves, try to rejuvenate the violets, and most of the times you'll have success. I do have some leaves that I'm trying to rejuvenate as well, just in case, but this one looks great. I do believe this one will be a big violet, but again, I didn't have many roots, so no point in putting it in the mini Deltini lechuza. I just put it in this little tiny pot, and I do believe it's growing. I do believe it's starting to pick up growth. Next one is a gift. This is Dalmatin, and this is such a beautiful one. It already looks very good. It is a semi-mini or mini, perhaps. It has grown quite a bit, and take a look at the flowers. They look a little bit like a Dalmatian. I don't know if this was the idea behind the name, but oh boy, those flowers, I really hope that my particular one will look like that, because it's just fantastic. They're really deep purple, and the white contrast, you know, I like contrasts. So again, I could not believe my eyes when I saw this one was a gift. Per order, I got 2 gifts, I think, with leaves and these as well. So I think this is the whole extent of the gifts. I think all of the others I actually bought. But yeah, can you believe it? How nice. I always really appreciate sellers that repay customers, and it's not about receiving free plants all the time, but like when you make a big order or when you are a very frequent customer, it's just so nice to have, I don't know, bonus points or a bonus plant or something. It's just nice. And can you believe it that it never happened to me with orchids? Next up, look at that variegation. This is Charming Guys. This would be the translation of this name. And I was not expecting this one to look so beautiful. Let me just show you the picture. Initially, I purchased it for the flowers. Now, you never know why some plants are named the way they're named. What was the inspiration behind the name? But I like to imagine, and with this one I like to imagine that it's because the flowers do look like an eye. They have a lighter colored center and that beautiful blue-purple on the petals, creating the illusion of an eye. At least that's what I'm imagining. So I purchased it for the flower. It appears to have that bell shape again, but when I received it and I saw the beautiful variegation, I was so happy. This one again has started to grow. All of these that are a little bit big and they're potted in very or kind of tiny pots, they didn't have much of a root system, so that's why they're here. So I should consider them recovering plants, but they look very good. Next up, here is ND Eastern Bosphor or Bosphorus. I don't know how you call it in English. In my language, it's Bosphor. This is a variegated violet, and you can see mine has a little bit of variegation here. Doesn't really have much of a root system, but it's growing very well and quite fast. So I'm guessing there are some roots there that are growing. This one has beautiful dark purple flowers with a green edging, and of course the variegated foliage, and the flowers have a lot of petals. They look ruffled. It's really pretty, and this particular plant does seem to be very vigorous, so I'm happy about this one. Oh, P.S. if you're new to African violets, I don't believe there is such a thing as a fragrant African violet. I never heard of one, so none of these are actually fragrant. Next up, here is a cutie. This is Max Livelong and Prosper, I think. I think somebody was a Star Trek fan here. This one I purchased strictly for the foliage, but I think the flowers will be beautiful as well. It has this oval foliage, as you can see, not very round leaves, and it's variegated. It's a semi-mini. Yeah, it's a semi-mini. Really, really pretty plant, and the flowers are a very vivid pink, as you can see. They're not double or ruffled or have edging or anything of the sorts, but I think they make a really, really nice contrast. And again, in reality, this one just looks so much better than I imagined. It's just so pretty. I'm guessing the flowers will be very tiny as well. But yeah, there we go. I think we can see a trend here. I like variegated leaves. I don't mind so much the size. I don't think it's a criteria, but definitely the leaves are. Next up, here's another one that didn't have a very good root system. Here's a leaf that I need to remove, and you can see that it's not looking the greatest. This is E.K. Lisa, that's all I'm gonna pronounce. I purchased this one for the flowers mainly, but it has beautiful variegated foliage as well. The flowers though, I don't know what color they're supposed to be. Depending on the filters on the camera, you'll find pictures which look more red and some which look more purple. In the end, I do believe it has big, fluffy, ruffled flowers, and the color should be a surprise. But yeah, sadly, it wasn't the best. It didn't handle transport all that well, but you can totally tell that something went wrong with this one. It's okay though. Oh wow, I'm just noticing the leaves are super soft. Most African violets have soft leaves because of this little hair, but this one is extra somehow. Let me see. Oh yeah, no, this is extra soft. Really nice. And I do believe this is the full extent of the actual plants that I have. I have leaves as well, but we're not gonna go through them. We're gonna make separate videos if you guys want. But for now, this is the entirety of my collection. Alrighty, so thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you had a chill time with me today. And let me know in the comments down below, do you grow African violets? Are you interested in more videos? What type of videos do you guys like best? I do want to kind of get into them really. I don't know what to say about these guys, but I do want to make some videos on them. So I would much rather like take my time, do things off camera, and then compile something, right? But I need ideas. What do you guys want to see more with these African violets? Of course, like when they bloom and stuff, it's gonna be great. But if you have other subjects in mind, do give me ideas down below of what interests you most. Alrighty, so that said, you know the drill. Like or dislike this video below. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, tutorials, Q&As, and other fun orchid subjects. Mainly, and maybe sometimes, some African violets as well. And if you wish to support the channel, do consider visiting the merch store down below. Only has orchid stuff. I think it's gonna be that way. I don't think it's gonna be any AV stuff anytime soon. And with that said, I'll see you next week, normal schedule. Bye.